Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Tuesday night chat. We got a great panel here tonight. Rosie was on here. She got kicked off, and I'm sure she'll be right back. So don't worry. I'm sure she's coming back. But in the meantime, I got some other guys here, some great guys, some great YouTubers, some with a lot of knowledge on different things. And I'm going to start with David. Would you like to do an introduction, my friend?
Sure. Hi, everybody. David from An American Warning and Reason Leadership. Thanks for having me on. I'm glad I could be here.
Well, I appreciate you coming on here. I'm sure a few people out there just caught your show. I don't know exactly what you call it, but I don't want to insult you, so let's call it.
That's fine.
Pop's Quest, would you like to do an intro?
Nothing major, just thanks for having me on. Pop's Quest on YouTube. Do some shooting vids, and because I'm addicted to buying 22 long rifle ammo, we do some unboxings on that stuff as well. So just a little bit of everything. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Thanks for coming on. Rick, is your six covered? Go right ahead, man.
Hello, and thanks again, TR and everybody on the panel. Rick from Is Your Six Covered, obviously. Just wanted to hang out, see how everybody's doing, and can't wait to start the show.
Cool. So hopefully, Rosie was here just a minute ago. Hopefully she'll come back. I sent an invite out again just in case she lost it or whatever. So anyway, I'm not sure how to start this now that Rosie ain't here and it's Tuesday night. So, David, is there anything that you didn't cover on your show you'd like to finish up on? I'm not putting you on the spot or anything. I'm just asking, is anything on your mind? Or?
There's plenty on my mind.
That's a loaded question, ain't it?
Yeah, it is. No, I don't know. I mean, ultimately, when we're looking at the grand scheme of things, I don't know. Did you have an agenda for tonight, or is it just kind of open? Or
it's always open mic night on my chats.
Well, I'll tell you that the situation globally is definitely something to kind of keep in the back of your guys' mind, keep an eye open, because the ramifications of what's going on are significant. One of the things I said in what I have been saying for quite a while is that we're seeing this mad rush for foreign goods because a lot of people can't afford, domestic goods anymore, so they're getting the cheaper goods. Well, we're about to completely upend that situation and turn to a more protectionist position, which would be great for American workers, but is ultimately going to destabilize a lot of what's going on externally. So that's going to create tension. We've got a lot of different situations and a lot of different, realms that are going to agitate the global pot, if you will. So I don't know. I think some issues are on the horizon for sure.
I know. When I was listening to your show earlier, there were several of us talking about some different things. You was talking about the economy and what have you, and manufacturing, job losses, jobs not being, produced. God Almighty, shut up. Yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, I work in consumer goods. I work in manufacturing and consumer goods. So we make say like a little bottle top, something that can be sold to damn near any company. It's not company specific. It's just consumer goods. And when you're making bottle tops and stuff like that, and your business is nosediving, and I work for a huge corporation, so it's not like some little mom and pops that just ain't keeping up. Multi-billion-dollar company, and we just happen to be a small part of it, one little plant. But when you see the consumer goods taking a nosedive on just your everyday kind of things that's being sold, it's kind of an eye opener. It's like, yeah, shit's getting bad. Shit is getting bad.
Yeah. Well, it's a
That's just my
transition.
opinion.
No, I mean, you're right. But it's like I said, off air, what we're dealing with is a transition, and you're going to have people who resist it. You're going to have people who embrace it. You're going to have people in between who literally have no clue. And it's going to be a mix, and the transition's not going to be an easy one. Because we've never done it before. It's like the Industrial Revolution all over again, right? So you had all this stuff going on. People had no idea what the ramifications were going to be. You had all over the world, a whole bunch of people who resisted it, a bunch of people who were like, yeah, let's do this, and every time this presents itself, you see what happens. There's a group of people who kind of get left behind, and then a bunch of people who are able to do really well. So what I try to challenge people to do, what I'm trying to challenge people to do, is to be those thinkers that embrace where it's going, because it's happening. So you might as well just embrace it, be a part of it, and be on the cutting edge of it. Be an influencer of it. Because here's the truth of the matter. Regardless of what you're faced with, you can have a good side and a bad side. And if you have, it's like I closed my show out with, freedom is ultimately what we want, right? So if we are the influencers and we are influencing whatever this technological revolution is towards freedom, we all win. We can still have freedom in this technological era we're walking into, or we can have 1984 right in our face. We get to choose, based on our participation. So just a thought.
All right. Rosie, glad to have you back.
Thank you very much. You did it right. And I've never been on with this gentleman before. Nice to meet you, David.
Hello.
Hello.
I think you and David will probably it'll probably end up being the David Rosie show, and me and Pops Quest and Rick will just be sitting here dumbfounded. But anyway, Rosie, would you like to do an intro?
Yeah, I just wanted to back up if I can.
Start off with your economic.
Yeah, I just wanted to back up if I can, because I was curious. I was listening to, and my computer cut out, what David's premise was about that. I don't know if he can kind of nutshell that a little bit about technology. And I heard a little bit about robotics and things like that. I was just curious, just so I get the flavor of that.
Sure. Yeah, no, I was talking about robotics, artificial intelligence, energy, et cetera, walking into a complete economic upheaval that will fundamentally and on any level really adjust where we are going, not only as a society but as a species, fundamentally altering the way that the world does business, and how it will impact every element of our lives, and the lives of those prior. So he's holding up the book. So one of the things that I often show is that historically, with mathematic precision, we go through these different cycles, and these cycles present themselves, and one of which that I talk about is the economic upheaval. And so this happens, and then life fundamentally changes, and we move on. But during each one of these transitions, as these cycles present themselves, there's struggle, because of all of the things that people have to contend with. Old world versus new world, et cetera, et cetera. You could look at Benjamin Franklin's lightning rod into the American Industrial Revolution via, also to the American Currency Act, the Currency Act of 1764, and how that spurred the want and desire for independence, and so on and so forth. So again, it presents itself different every time, but now we are faced with robotics, artificial intelligence, moral slavery, these things that are going to be doing things for us at a very rapid rate, replacing jobs. The economy is going to be different. The way we conduct business will be different, and that's going to be hard for some people. It's going to be easy for some people. But ultimately speaking, changes the way we're going to do business and how the world does business, how it conducts itself, how we advance from there, et cetera, et cetera. So kind of in a nutshell. That's
cool. It's kind of interesting on that theme because that's something we've talked about, TR, and one of my beliefs, if you go back to sort of Malthusian economics, and we've talked about there come certain choke points in history of humanity where we can't all fit through the door to the next level. And one of my biggest fears that I've expressed to you is with these government supports and these programs and this I don't want to call it a nanny state, but we probably are as ill prepared as ever for the future and the realities of the future now, precisely because of those artificial supports since like 1966 or the Johnson administration in this country. We're very ill-suited, ill-educated for the demands, like David said, going forward of a technological, really accelerating technological society. I don't think we need as many people going forward. And here we are on a planet with what, 5 billion, 6 billion people, something like that. What's everybody going to do? Obviously, this planet can't sustain the way it's been going at its rate. And I just think it's a fascinating topic and one that I've enjoyed talking about too. That you know, we stand at this juxtaposition where we've never been less prepared in a sense of the majority of people, and yet the demands have never really been higher going forward for the demands for success. So it's interesting. So you can see where David's coming from, this sort of a head-on crash between these two realities here. And we've had this shock absorber, like a government airbag between in all of the Western civilizations and things that's kept people insulated from having to feel the cold chill of economics on their backside to get things moving. So, yeah, kudos to you, David. I think it's a great thought.
Thank you.
Yeah, Rosie, that book I was holding up, that's actually David wrote that. He's an author.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
So we have. I'm gonna brag on you, David.
Distinguished company. There we go.
Yeah, the term I was trying to think of was called the singularity. It's right now it's basically a hypothetical term that's used to describe the future creation of superintelligence machines. If you just think about how everything is being developed for our convenience, if you will, to think for us, to do for us, to protect us. The human element is slowly becoming obsolete. And that's where the singularity occurs, is where you are more of a thing that's being sort of taken care of by a machine, I guess, if you will. But I guess this little definition that I read, the revolutions in genetics, nanotechnology, and robotics are expected to lay a foundation for the singularity. According to singularity theory, superintelligence will be developed by self-directed computers and will increase exponentially rather than incrementally. And basically what I see from my little tiny aspect of manufacturing is that the human element, while it's the most amazing part of what I do and most fun, the machine element is the most easiest to predict, control, and rely on, I guess, if you will. So, and not only that, but it's the machine element can exponentially recreate what a human does. So CNC technology and machining of cabinet parts I can do for 10 times less with a machine. In some people's eyes, that may make me a terrible person, but it's something that's necessary to compete with the shop next door. So
it doesn't make you a terrible person at all. Not at all.
it's an evolution or devolution in some ways, if you will, of the human element, but it's an evolution in productivity and efficiency. So it very much is a double-edged sword. And I don't know where we balance that in the future, because look back 20 years and look at where we are now. And if you think exponentially, where are we really going to be in 40 years? What job is the human element really going to play?
Well, see, and that's where I think people need to think in a way that they've never done before. I've often said and repeated, and I'll say it again just for the sake of benefit and for effect, the future is for those who think. If you let's look back 40 years. You look at like a gas station attendant, somebody who would go out and pump your gas for you, wipe your window off. You don't see them anymore unless it's a novelty somewhere, but they're gone, right? Those jobs are gone. But look at all the jobs after taking that away that have been created. You know, you got different garages, you got all this other stuff. But I think ultimately where we're going is that the idea of a job, you know, labor, employment type of situation is going to go away. I don't know how soon that's going to be, but eventually it would have to. And then at that point, I think that's where freedom, the idea of freedom, can actually be played out. In the idea where you wake up and you would do something that you want to do, because you wouldn't have to go slave away for a paycheck to handle your energy bills. You wouldn't have to do whatever to go get this, because something would already be built. Look at 3D printing. Look at our capabilities there. We've taken the what a manufacturing, even robots, would take something that is 30,000 parts and turned it into 3,000 just by 3D printing. So even robots are going to make robots obsolete. The idea of 3D printing a home, you know, that technology exists. Now, it's not obviously being employed to a massive extent, but it's there, and it's in the developing stages. So, and it wouldn't matter anyway. Think about drivers, truck drivers. The idea of a truck driver in 10 years is going to be laughable. We've got driverless cars, drones, teachers. Yeah, I mean, you can learn more. There's not a single job that I can see that is not going to be directly affected with some sort of technology.
Who benefits from this replacement of human with technology, and does that benefit share broadly so that everyone can enjoy the technology, or does it funnel its way straight to the top? That's really the question, I think.
Well, here's my idea, Pop. See, some people can see a bleakness about robotics and things like that, but if you go back in history, particularly Industrial Revolution history, you'll see points. For example, the Patent Office, I think back in 1900, said, somebody famously said, the director, everything that's could be invented has already been invented now. And we tend to get some of these points in history where we tend to be a little gloomy because we kind of think that we're losing control of our world. But remember, machines can only really think deductively. I mean, they're only going to use what we put into them, and the inductive reasoning, the creativity aspect is what really the brilliance of being a human is, that you can rise above and take, you know, like the beauty of a liberal arts education is you know a little bit about a lot of different things, and you can connect tremendously different disparate things and put together something beautiful and creative. And I think this has been the genius of what humanity's been, that every time we seem to get pressed and against the wall, either through depression or war, we seem to evolve to another level here. So I think it's just evolution in action, and it's amazing that even with, and we don't have the best jobs in this country, but even with all this automation and things, we still can support our standard of living pretty much in this nation. That's not to say we will going forward, because like I said, there's been a lot of false supports and props that have been put in here But I think it's just a fascinating discussion on a philosophical point, too, that it's always that creativity that sort of sets us aside from machines. And I think that's the beauty of humanity and creativity, and that ability to think outside the box, something I don't think a machine will ever be able to really do, to think outside the box and connect and make those inductive leaps into different sort of areas. It's just my opinion.
Yeah, creativity is definitely something that's probably not replaceable, but the singularity is, again, it's something that it's hypothetical, but if you look backwards and then look forwards at what is capable exponentially, it's where machines take over the thought process. And if that really happens, how creative are people going to be? And the very, very creative, the select little very, the 90-10 rule of creative people at the very top, they'll always be those people that you look at and go, damn, I never would have thought of that, or they think things in a different way. But to take the thought process and to take the chance out of daily activity is going to do nothing but make us dumber, at least the ones that are willing to be dumbed down. And that's really, that's the other side of that equation, I think.
Well, Pops, is that like we're measuring more precisely? I mean, is that a dumb activity, or is that something a machine should do?
I mean, actually doing things. Like you wake up in the morning and everything's done.
Yeah, so a machine washes your clothes now and turn the gas on your stove, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, but when your laundry machine starts checking your emails and deleting the ones that it doesn't like, then we really have a serious problem.
Well, mine's already doing that. So.
Hey, I got a quick question.
Oh, go ahead.
And I think I heard this on one of David's shows. So since he's here, I want to run it by him real quick. I think he had a show a while back, and it talked about basically computers being able to be where they're self-sufficient. They know there's a problem, so they diagnose it and work with it. So the first question is when you take a problem, and I think David was talking about this, whatever the problem is, say problem X, the computer, because everything's basically math anyways, can come up with 1,000 different ways to do it, figure out what's the easiest way to do it, what's the most likely way for it to get done in the fastest amount of time, where a human brain may do that, but it may take months, where a computer can do it in microseconds or seconds or minutes or whatever you want to call it, to accomplish the same goal. Was that you, David, that was talking about that?
I've talked about elements of that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I thought that was pretty amazing, because basically you get to a computer that has the ability to go, I need to, right? Or I need to be able to fix this problem. I can't move right now. I'm plugged into a wall, and now I need to figure out a way to make that happen. I'm just kind of using stupid examples, but they have the ability to now think for themselves.
Artificial intelligence is amazing, and a lot of people don't even know this, but I would say not a lot, but some of the media articles that you read that are data-based are actually written by artificial intelligence. There's not a human hand involved. So it's already there. It's already there in marketing. It's already there on some of your online social stuff. It's already there online shopping, so on and so forth. Habits, behaviors, and it's learning, and it's getting better, and it's getting more advanced. One of the things that, and kind of reflecting back on something Pops was talking about, in regard to the singularity, or where we're going, or how this goes, or why, or what's the end result, and so on and so forth. I often say, okay, follow the money. Okay, if at some point in time you're not having to work, again, the idea of labor and the idea of work and exchanging your labor for some sort of currency will become obsolete. Because again, one of the things that I addressed in my show today was talking about how next year Google will be 100% green energy. 100%. probably feeding more back into the grid, but they are going to be 100% by 2017. And that's an amazing idea, and they're gonna change things accordingly. So when I talk about not having to pay for energy because it's just there, and you're not having to pay for food because it's being grown for you, and you don't have to worry about traveling anywhere because you're just going to be able to go do this, and you maybe hop in your drone or whatever the situation is. Hey, I need this, so something gets 3D printed. At this point, things are going to be different. Now, we can only speculate certain elements of where we're going because we obviously haven't been there yet. But at some point in time, the exploitation of labor is going to be a moot point. It's just not going to be there. So the idea of economics surrounding that will be fundamentally altered. So the concern of who's going to benefit, he's going to be the almighty powerful, whatever. You're going to have, this is what I speculate. And I've said this before, but I'll tell you, and again, this is really hard to kind of wrap your head around. But as we move forward, we're kind of theoretically going to be moving back to where communities are going to be very tight-knit, globally connected, but not globally dependent. They are going to be self-sustaining little communities spattered all around the globe. Some of them are going to be in the water, under the water, on the mountain, whatever your preference is. But they're going to be these small little communities where different people are going to have different tasks in association with, and probably working side by side, certain robotics, make sure things that are happening are getting done. But everybody's going to have like their little task, which will take 2 hours out of their time. The rest of the time is going to be dedicated to their own pursuit, be it painting, poetry, music, whatever the situation is. And you'll make up for any kind of gap in material or whatever via barter of your own creativity. Some people are still going to be bums. Some people are still going to be overachievers. You're always going to have that variant. But
yeah, that's why communism perpetually fails, because it's equal misery for all, and rewards of innovation and progress are not rewarded in that type of society. So how do you feel about capitalism going forward with your theories there?
Well, I think Sinclair is right. Jim Sinclair is right in the idea that capitalism is dead. But in the other side, communism is invalid. So the idea of these isms are going to be fundamentally altered. Communism fails because when you have the deadbeats, they are sucking the life force out of those who produce. Socialism's the same way. Capitalism, on the other hand, exploits in a lot of ways those who are ignorant or whatever. So you're going to have this like meld of these isms, if you will, where it becomes almost a moot point. If you want to be a bum, you can be a bum. If you want to be an overachiever, you can be an overachiever. You can be whatever it is you want to be because the exploitation has been removed.
Don't you see that now? Don't you see that now? I see a blend of communism, socialism, and capitalism. And in my mind, we need to get back to pure capitalism, unfettered, without government interference of here's how we can make housing better. Here's how we can make student loans better. Here's how we can make medicine better. To me, it's the hand.
Yeah, but you're including a profit element.
No, I'm just, of course, because the profit element, I believe, is what drives society forward. Ultimately, the ability and the desire to get ahead and have something a little more than just the cup of gruel that the person sitting next to you.
Right. So
I see that as a very powerful driver.
But if you have that, and there's not a drive for that, then what? Then creativity, innovation drives humanity, right?
Well, I think stress has driven humanity. Times of challenge drive humanity, and innovation and invention. I just feel like our government, our systems of government, particularly in the West, have done more to restrain and, if you want to say, doom our present system than I think capitalism has ever done, because I don't think we'd have near the numbers of people on the earth today that we have in a free market system that we have today. But that's just my opinion.
I agree with that.
Created this layer of fat that It's not natural.
I agree with that, but you're missing what I'm saying, and I agree with that 100%. But you're missing what I'm saying. Right now, you're focused on the profit element, which there would not be. You would have the idea for innovation. You would have this thing for innovation, creativity, and so on and so forth. You would have those who could do more or whatever. Here's the thing, and a lot of people don't know, and I think they probably discredit the idea of open source. Open source, for instance, Microsoft Office. Let's just use that. That is a capitalist-driven product, right? Well, you also have Open Office, which is an open source technology where, okay, well, cool, we can add this and we can do this. But ultimately, word processor is a word processor, and the different functions and tools or whatever, it's open source. You can fix it or make an improvement to it or what have you. You have open source materials like artificial intelligence, which there are artificial intelligence programs and projects, I guess, that are already out there that are open source, to where improvements and stuff can be made. Again, if there is no exploitation for profit, there's not this "you're taking from me" element. So if you're eliminating the "you're taking from me" element and the hungry exploitation, then there is no resistance to that.
Well, let's look at the other side. Instead of a taking, how about we call it a giving for rewarding somebody that had innovative thought and was driven by the profit motive. This is what I've seen is driven greatness in the world around me. The comforts and the ability to clothe and feed and house basically 6 billion people in the world today.
Sure.
And I think absent that profit motive, which I don't think will ever disappear in my mind, I think it'll come surging back stronger than ever when that.
I don't think that's a profit motive. That's an accumulation motive.
Well,
that's a
resources motive. You're never going
to
change human nature.
I'm not saying that you will.
I'm not saying that you're inquisitive. It's always wanting to have. There's always infinite desires and wants. I mean, that's sort of in the philosophical realm. There's a lot of what you say that I agree with, for sure. I guess I'm just a little more, maybe I'm just a little more of
let's say you wanted
Adam Smithian.
Let's say you wanted a jet ski, all right? You wanted a jet ski. Your neighbor doesn't have a jet ski, but you wanted one. So you 3D print one. You have what you want. You have the innovation and the design you created or took off the internet or whatever the situation is. But now you have the jet ski that the guy next door doesn't even care about. Nothing happened. It happened in your garage.
Right, but you got to have the 3D printer that's as big as a house to create that. So there's some.
And you also have to have the money.
There's some gap there, where I think we're having 2 or 3 different conversations here. And I'm talking about the singularity, where ultimately technology ends up beyond perfecting human nature. And what does that leave for us? That's like that to me, that's like the super sci-fi way in the future thing.
See, and I don't think that it is, because I'm watching people right now who are building concrete castles for their children with 3D printers. They build in their own garage. These aren't huge, massive things. I'm seeing people who are printing cars in their garage with things that they just created. I mean, I know it sounds really, but we've already got flying cars. We've already got all of the things that are sci-fi or whatever, and people are perfecting them and making them cheaper. And I mean, how many people, I'm sure we all know somebody who has a drone.
Well, I think what happens is, at first, the people that invent the machines, that money gets funneled to them, and then as those machines, and trust me, I see a lot of these technology machines and whatnot that can make your life easier.
Sure.
As more people get that technology and it becomes more wide, then the price crashes, right? And then it becomes more affordable for everybody. But it's those little leaps that you can really get rich, like every step of the way. But I think those leaps are getting smaller and smaller over time, because as technology as we become more technologically advanced, the leaps aren't great anymore. They're these little leaps, right?
Yeah, why is that? Why is that at this point, Pops? And I would tell you it's because that need to survive and move forward has been stripped out of a lot of our society.
Yeah, and plus the internet was created, and now everybody can get everything right away, and it's all Al Gore's fault because now I can go and research everything you're doing in 10 minutes and duplicate it, right? So technology has crippled, you know, yeah, we still have the patent process, but that's a joke anymore, really, when you think about it. Except for the pharmaceuticals, they get fairly well protected.
Well, when you create a layer of technology, you also create a layer of secondary and tertiary industries that pop up and surround that, like technology with apps. And I mean, how many people have made fortunes in software engineers? I mean,
what I'm saying
it's just
is
more knowledge-based success.
But what I'm saying is those little legs up are getting shorter. The rungs on the ladder are getting shorter and shorter with each leap. I think and then all of a sudden we're going to get to the pinnacle of ultimate technology, and then the singularity is going to be where we're at, and then the freaking technology takes over. You know, that's my little, you know, that's my little conspiracy theory, technologically futuristic idea.
The one thing I see with automation, with robots, computers, and what have you, and in manufacturing, in my little small world, because I see robots taking people's place. You know, I mean, it's a normal thing nowadays. But with robots taking people's place in manufacturing, we're on low level here, you know. It also makes us more competitive with foreign countries, and I think we can have more manufacturing here by doing that, if that makes any sense. And maybe I'm looking at this in a whole other fucking thing and way off base of what y'all are talking about, but I see the robotics and automation and things like that. They do cost us jobs, but I think in the end they'll actually gain us jobs because we'll have more plants, more companies that can compete with the Chinese or whoever it is. And actually, even though the robot may cost jobs initially, they will create jobs potentially in the future, if that makes any sense.
I agree. I think there's things we can't even foresee at this point that are going to spin off of creations and things, but it's very interesting. So
they say that over 60% of the jobs that'll be had in a decade haven't even been invented yet. And
think of all the jobs that are existing now that with technology could be wiped out in the next 5 years. That should make you freaking really rethink what you're doing and like start like doing shit differently.
Hey,
I mean, seriously.
I tell you, robots, so my job's secure.
My concern is that before we ever get to that technology pinnacle, that singularity, that we're going to have a tremendous, almost like a dark ages, economically speaking, with I think the closest I would say is like a Mad Max type of, you know, the strong survive and evolve because government failed ultimately with the debt implosion that I know is coming. I mean, I can look at a graph as well as anybody and a parabolic function as clearly as anybody and see where we're heading. It's just a question of you know, how far we go up the bayonet before we get gored on it. So my concern is that we could have a real blow backwards with this whole thing where you got people that are, you know, burning up their housing to try to keep warm and in inner cities and things like that because government pulls back from those type of functions and things. So I guess I see more of a fork in the road towards raw survival coming up, sort of a Malthusian. And of course, Malthus was the economist that said periodically you have to purge and disgorge the dead wood, and you have to wipe out large numbers of people so humanity can, its strongest, can move forward. So I just think we have too much weakness right now in society.
I will say that the technology has to be initially focused on the huge population centers. That's where it makes more sense. So maybe there'll be a division, a really true division of these huge population centers that are that have become beholden of the singularity has sort of taken over, and then there'll be these communities out in rural areas that are really truly free, because maybe in the singularity they let these people free of like taxation and property taxes and all that, because now, now I'm talking truly futuristic shit here now, right? So that the population, the heavily populated centers are the only thing that matter in the singularity, because that's the only part that can be controlled. And then you have the rural areas that are truly free, right? I mean, think about it.
Hey, I'll comment on a couple things here. One, TR, I think what Rosie said should resonate with you, considering the cycles. And to let you in on it, Rosie. The other side of the cycle that I have put forth, I've been talking about this since '99, is you have the economic upheaval and then a war cycle. And that war cycle is marked by two very specific things: change in the way warfare is done, and a marked improvement in healthcare. And every time there's an economic upheaval on this magnitude, there is the strife that you have referenced. So you're going to have purge economically, but also the friction between different societies and so on and so forth. Boom! So yeah, so very much in line with that. However, what I'm speaking of, and I think that's probably where we're missing, several of us here on the line is the timeline. The timeline itself, we've got 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and what we're looking here is during the 60-year lull between the cycles as it presents itself again. During that 60-year lull, you're going to start seeing an elimination of things like property taxes and taxes in general. You're not going to have cash. They're already very rapidly moving towards a cashless society. In fact, if you were to Google cashless society right now, I would venture to say that you would come up with at least a dozen different articles on different elements of what the cashless society is going to be. And this is being presented by people from like Citibank and JP Morgan and all the, the IMF and different think tanks and so on and so forth. So again, when you eliminate that profit element, and you're doing it in an open source situation, it's going to change the paradigm. So when we're talking about the way economies are working right now, and this is what I'm trying to say, and I agree with Rosie in the idea that we can't foresee some of what's getting ready to occur. So it's hard to even speculate. But we do know that when these occur, that the way that the world does business fundamentally changes. Try to imagine going from canals into railroads. People were deathly afraid of the railroad or trains, basically, because they thought that if you went over 30 miles an hour, it'd rip your face off. A lot of different reasons. They were like, "Oh, we can't do this. This is crazy. This is a massive machine. Don't do it."
I guess when you're talking about open source and development like that, I guess I tend to think that there's how do you progress forward from that point? If I can see a lot of people not satisfied, you always have that in society, where somebody always sets out to build a better machine, whether it's a car to replace a horse and carriage or a jet to replace an airplane. You always have that push forward, and I think absent the profit motive at that point, or some reward for that beyond what you call the open, everybody has the same basic thing. That's my only bugaboo with it. I think that there's always people that want better than what open source provides. I mean, we see that in video editing software. There's tons of free programs out there, and there's a lot of free stuff out there. Like you said,
what do you do for a hobby?
I do electronic rebuilding and vintage stereos and things like that. That's my.
Do you do that because you love it or because you're making money at it?
A little bit of both.
Okay, but if there wasn't a monetary attachment to it, because the monetary attachment has a lot to do with your economic status. So you're getting money for it because, hey, it's a good plus and I get a little bit of extra coin. But if there wasn't that, would you still be messing around with electronics?
Oh yeah, but that requires the money and the ability to purchase that kind of stuff. But I'm just saying, it's fascinating. I guess I just think that innovation doesn't cease because we're open sourced on things, and if it does, I think
I never said that it did. In fact, I think that innovation would increase exponentially because it didn't have that. I think right now that the money situation actually hinders innovation. So if you were to eliminate, well, because if you, let's say you had an idea, but you needed the materials, but you don't have the money for the materials, how are you going to create it? Or if you needed to experiment, but you needed to have all this material in order to experiment, but you couldn't afford the material, how could you do it? You're not going to give your idea to somebody else, or if you did, you would be hoping that they would give you a kickback of some type, but ultimately speaking, that wouldn't occur. So if you didn't have the money element, you were just able to experiment, you were able to work, like say for instance with artificial intelligence, and create the best design by looking through this digital thing a million different times and then saying, okay, well, let's print this out and see if it works. Cool, look at what I made. Then all of a sudden,
who will fund that?
That's what I'm saying. If there's not a funding element to it.
No, I'm saying if in your future, who would fund something like that too? How would that get done? Where would the resources be drawn? For me, it's been a beautiful thing in history that those that have a great idea still manage to almost gut themselves to have that idea done. Tesla joining, trying to get Thomas Edison interested in AC compared to DC power and things like that. I mean, they go above and beyond because they're such believers in ideas that they eventually find and land on that one person that does take that idea and does understand it. And they're usually willing to give up something for that too, in return for capital and things like that. I just think that's been it was a hallmark of America for a lot of centuries that those with get up and go got up and went and knocked on every door they could and pushed because they really believed in something, and if they couldn't get it done, then ultimately the idea was a failure. And ideas have to captivate people, and I think that's
absolutely
again the beauty of humanity. Is that
books. How many people read books?
That struggle. If things come too easy, I think we might build junk. If things come too easy, we almost have a North Korean state where, well, let's try this one. Let's try. Okay, that didn't work. Let's do that one. I mean,
building that bridge to the next thing is what you can't see, right? Nobody can see that, and that's the thing. Like before the internet was created, nobody could see the internet and the capability and what it would do for us, or drones, or robots, or backup cameras on cars, or cell phones, or computers that are handheld. Nope, you can't see that. You can't. The bridge is really is the key, and then the person that has the creativity and the mindset, the wherewithal to build that bridge to that next technologically advanced thing is the guy that makes the $1 billion, right? Which I'm totally in favor of. But those bridges. So where I see the point I'm trying to make in this whole thing is that those advancements to the next technology are getting smaller and smaller and smaller to the point where you have this ultimate technologically advanced society where then at that moment in time the creation is done and the machines take over.
Well, Pops, I just think we spin out so many ideas. 10 years ago there wasn't a Facebook, and look at how many jobs have been created with social networking and software.
There's got to be a way to tell. There's got to be a graph somewhere that shows ideas, technology, and if they're ramping up or if they're speeding down or if they're level. There's got to be something out there that graphs that, because these assholes on Wall Street do that, right? That's what they do.
Pops, capitalism, information has been the thing that's caused the speeding up, right? I mean, you had to travel by horseback to get information up until the 1800s, right? So look at how the United States took about 100 years to develop as a strong economic power. Now China's doing that, in 50 years? Who will be the next one to step forward? The compression will probably be 25 years because the flow of information is so precise now that you know, your efficiency's gone up so dramatically that it's just the demands of capitalism at work for me. And I just think there's always something new around the corner that we just can't perceive, something huge and I think wonderful. But I think technology is smaller levels, but it doesn't mean it doesn't have a lot of power to produce benefit for even though
I think the human element can only take so much technology to the benefit. And then of course I just think there's that point in time where, you know, I mean, you want a dog that can walk itself? I mean, that's stupid, but you know what I'm saying? Like a robotic dog or something. I don't know. I'm just retarded, but
well, I think, you know, man's been on Earth for thousands of years, however many thousands of years, and up until a little over 100 years ago, we were still riding horses, and now we're on a damn. Where'd David go? Oh shit, David had to go. He said that and then jumped out. Didn't even get to say bye. But I think it all sums it up. It's alien technology. That's all there is to it. Nah, just kidding.
That could take us to the next level, really, when you think about it. I mean,
I'm just trying to make a joke.
No,
yeah, I wanted him to. I wanted to show him all my electronics and shit on the wall over there.
You got a very impressive collection, no doubt.
Yeah, that really you really are a capitalist.
you have more stereos than I got guns, and that's
there you go, Pops. I probably got 120 units and as many in the garage. But you know, you get the passion, you know, and you got to have it, right? So, how many freaking stereo consoles have I rescued? Tube units out there in churches and throwing things in the top. I don't know. It was fascinating to talk to David. I guess I'm more a believer in the power of capitalism now. Pops, I think the capitalism in this country, you talk about those fucks on Wall Street and stuff, but a lot of times those fucks work at the behest of, you know, government. When Bill Clinton calls Alan Greenspan into the office in 1996 and says, you know what, and he takes his finger and he puts it in Greenspan's chest and he says, you know what? Not enough people are getting housing in this country. You know whose fault that is? The Federal Reserve has made requirements too tough for banks to get people loans. I want these things loosened.
No.
And then the reality is, we saw what happened with the writing all the way down
to free
to
market. Then, if the government has to shove
that's what I'm saying. This is the government has created so many of these problems with their. Create Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. That'll be our catch basket for shitty mortgages. If something's a little risky, well, Uncle Sam will hold it. You know, if a college is too expensive, shit, we'll lend you the money to go. Just make sure you pay us back. And your medical care is out of control. Gee, the government's running Medicare and Medicaid now, and
but I don't think there's any free market on Wall Street anymore. I'm sorry, I don't really buy that anymore. But I understand the point you just made. I get that government interference has disturbed the market forces, and there's an unequalness in the force, as they say. But now I don't think there's a market on Wall Street anymore. That's just me personally. I may be way out of line there, but I just don't think there's a market on Wall Street anymore.
What do you think about and I don't know what position it is. It's something to do with finances, I'm sure. I don't know what. Anyhow, one of the guys that Trump put supposedly in a position, like I said, something to do with finances. I don't know what the position is, but said he wants to sell off Fannie Mae and Fannie Mac, and it'll no longer be a government-backed institution.
Wow.
What will that do?
It'll be a step in the right direction, but you know, ultimately the government will be called on to get back in there again. You know, because but housing is on a firmer footing now. But the only thing that's weakening it now is all the funny money that was created the last 8 years with all the quantitative easings 1, 2, and 3. We've tripled the money supply in this country, so there's no doubt that we're setting ourselves up for difficulty in housing. Probably stocks too. I'll be right back to it.
Okay.
Crap, there went my
What do you
smoke.
think, Rick?
I think it's, I don't know, you know, it's back and forth. I'm just doing a lot of learning right now, but I'm still tripping out on the computer thing. Basically, it's just the advancements are smaller is what Pop's saying, but I understand what he's saying, but bigger developments are happening faster. You know what I mean? Like if you took like SOS, right, and then you turned it into a phone line, right? Now we're talking on a phone line to a fax machine. Now you basically got one of these things, and it can do pretty much just damn near about anything. In another 20 years, you're probably not even going to need this. You know, probably in 2 years, you're not going to need it. It's either going to be on in a tooth or something, you know, or you're just going to, you know, it'll be on a pair of I can't even imagine what my kids are going to be dealing with when it comes to when they're in their 30s and 40s. I mean, look at this shit. Like this thing.
Yeah. If you've ever, this one's out of the case. This is my old one because it's, if you can see, it's cracked out of hell. If you've ever took one of these apart, the actual mechanism that makes like the computer is probably like this much of it.
It's just because of the screen they need the size, huh?
Yeah. I mean, it's I was kidding, but I kind of wasn't when I was saying that alien technology, because 100 and something years ago, we were riding horses for thousands of years. And then all of a sudden we got this little thing.
Yeah.
It pretty much does everything my computer does.
Well, and it's like the computer that got, if you believe in it, right? If you, you know, the the astronauts to the moon was a big ass huge building, was the computer for it. And this thing will do probably 50 times more than what that computer used to do.
Oh yeah.
Well, they say that you could all the shit NASA took to send the first rocket into orbit, you could fit in your iPhone.
Yeah, that's freaking nuts. And then this thing, right? Think of the old box, you know, the ones you know, if you were lucky or you were a doctor, right, when the phones came out, the big box ones, right? Phone.
Yeah, I had one.
Yeah, and then you go to this thing.
Bag phone.
Yeah, bag phone. And now it's like, in just a few years, how long ago did you own a bag phone? 12 years, 14 years ago or something?
20 years ago or something like that. It was like $3 a minute to call somebody.
Yeah, I was like...
If that was alien technology, then those aliens sucked.
See, AZ saying that the computer that took Apollo 11 to the moon had 8 megabytes of storage. Shit, now you can get a 128 gig.
And it ran on DOS or something.
On the size of your thumbnail. One of those micro SD cards. It's nuts. So I don't know. I mean, technology blows my mind. I just cannot imagine. I mean, I see my kids flying around in floating cars and almost Back to the Future shit, you know. Just with, there are already people on hoverboard things that you see above water, you know, where they're flying around. So,
my curiosity is where does the economy go, and where does this nano ultimate technology go when it gets totally perfected and exploited? And ultimately, I mean, to me, that's my curiosity, because that's the world my girls are going to live in, so
well, computer technology, even though it seems like it's small jumps, small leaps, it's doubling every time it goes forward. It actually doubles.
Yeah, but
so,
I think,
yeah,
see, I think
years from now,
I get right now, so it's exponential to a certain point. The way I see it is it's more of like a parabolic graph, then it levels off, declines because of this super technology taking over, or our lifestyle declining because of it. So that's how I see it. I see it as like old school carriage and horses, then freaking cars and backup cameras, and then shit that picks you up and drops you off, and then shit that doesn't pick you up and drop you off anymore because it just took your job.
Yeah.
So
I think there's always going to be jobs, but the people have to be able to look into the future, because they may take away jobs, but they're also going to create jobs like you guys have talked about on this show.
I get that, but just look up the term the singularity, and then just read it, and you'll get a better understanding of kind of what I'm thinking. And this could be 100 years in the future, and we'll all be dead, and it won't matter. But
well, now as far as manufacturing, I can tell you firsthand, no matter how advanced computers get, at least right now, manufacturing is always going to be 20 years behind because they're that slow to adapt to it. Right now, when I work on a machine, I work for a $16 billion company. Right now, when I work on a machine, I fill out paperwork at the machine. I got to fill out a ticket paper. Then I have to enter it into a computer.
Right.
And this is in 2016.
Okay, so what happens when the machine shows up with a robot employee all in the same crate, and when you fire up that damn machine, the robot fires up with it, and he just stands there 24/7, and when something goes wrong, his little digits get in there and fix it, and it's a digital data log, and then he sits back down. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying. I mean,
well, they'll never be able to repair themselves. Well, I shouldn't say that.
Don't say that.
I don't see them being able to repair themselves because you guys know.
There's a mechanical aspect to that.
Yeah. I mean,
you guys know you can't use logic always when fixing the machine.
Yeah, but what it does is it takes the workforce from 100 to 50, from 50 to 10, from 10 to like one dude that just has to do that one thing. I'm just.
Well, how many people got hired at the robot factories when they were expanding production?
But it only lasts until they get other robots to build the robots.
Well, they can say the same thing about cars. Everybody gets a car, then they can shut down the car companies.
Right. Well, here's a good thing. When my CNC machine was built, they built the machine to a certain degree to where it would operate, and then they loaded up with these programs, and then they started putting parts on the machine that were discs and squares, and they had the machine itself finish building itself. I'm not joking, because it was better at finding 0, X, Y, Z, milling the surface itself because it was on its own rail system. It machined its own tool tray because it already had the 0 axis and it was already datum to. I mean, so now you're looking at putting 80% of the machine together, loading it up with a programming, having it finish itself, and that's literally how it works. It's
crazy.
It is crazy, but
that's the one I've seen, Rob. That
was 12 years ago. I mean, think about what's happening now.
Shit.
Well, think about repair and all that. I mean, how many problems does TR confront the same problem every day with every machine, or is it a whole different set of? There's always issues. There's always maintenance and things like that. There's building them.
Yeah, there's just a limitations to what a robot machine. I don't care if we're talking 20 years from now. There's just going to be limitations to, and they will take a lot of jobs away. But I still think they'll create jobs because, like I said, it'll make us more competitive and we can have more jobs. There's always going to be people on the floor, to whatever extent. And I've told this story before. I don't know if I told it here or not. I'll go ahead and tell you this story real quick. And this is why I say this, that machines will never be able to figure everything out. I was an auto mechanic working on a 1972 Mercedes-Benz with a fuel injection. The problem with the car was if you open the door, the driver's door, and turned the car off and pulled the key out, the car would still run until you closed the door. And you would never guess what it took to finally figure out what the problem was. It was low on brake fluid.
What?
I swear to God.
What the fuck? I'm gonna
I swear. I spent 2 weeks.
Leave it to the fucking Germans, man.
Car. Every time I got a chance in between other jobs, I would work on this car. And of course, it's always
That's
last thing
funny,
checked.
Pops. That's funny as hell.
But in the wiring diagram, it ended up on that fuse circuit. It went to the damn brake reservoir, and it had a, if you was low on brake fluid, a light would come on. Son of a bitch was low on brake fluid, and somehow it was back feeding that damn circuit, and it would fire the fuel pump up. And as long as the driver's door was open, you could take the key out. As soon as you shut the driver's door, it would cut off. But the problem was it was low on brake fluid. That's why a fucking robot would never figure that shit out.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, there'd be a
robot would fucking kill that
maybe
car.
Leaky ceiling or something, and the robot got a drip on it.
No, you just fly in a new roof and it would set it down. Fucking
True story.
You can't make that shit up. Of course it's true.
My guess is there was a diode in the circuit, even though it wasn't in the blueprint. There had to be a diode in the circuit that was burnt out or shorted out or something that allowed that to happen. But regardless, it wasn't in the print. So, it was crazy.
The integrated systems, right, TR?
Yeah. And that was a 1972 car. But my point is, there will always be limitations on how far machinery, robotics can go. There will always be a limit on how far they can go. The human element will always be involved. There may be a point to where robots could actually even do surgeries, but there would still be a certain point to where they couldn't go back beyond. I don't think we'll get to that point.
And so I want to say we disagree because me of all people, I understand the human element. Trust me. There's certain things I'm like, man, there's no way. But if you go back 10 or 20 years, you'll say, man, there's no way to that. And here we are. So you got to at least think about it.
Yeah.
Don't get depressed about it.
I work with robots every day, so I definitely know where you're coming from. And
yeah.
If nothing else, I think we'll crash and burn before we get to that point.
That's possible.
That debt bubble's still climbing, and eventually something's going to pop. With our rate of technology in computers and AI and stuff like that, I see where you're coming from, but at the same time, I'm wondering, to get to that point, will there be a reset before then? Will there be a crumbling and a rebuilding process before we even get there to allow that technology to get that far?
Yeah, that's what I believe. That's the things crumble down to a survival level for a while. Kind of like a more modern dark ages.
And with the way things, I could be wrong in this. I won't go out on a limb. There's been technologies that's been lost in the past, and we could end up doing that again. Just like the cell phone and all the technology in that, but all that's on chips and computer hard drives and all that. If for some reason if you lost that, me and you couldn't build a cell phone.
That's why you prep, right? That's why you guys prep and I prep. Just for such an eventuality where things are pretty ugly.
Yeah, I don't want to go back to the Stone Age, but I wouldn't mind going back. I ain't gonna say how long, but simpler times.
80s maybe.
Yeah, No, I'd have to go way back, man. I've done experienced the 80s.
1880s, Pops.
yeah, 1880s.
There you go. I could see Pops with a 10-gallon hat on out there and out in Tombstone next to Wyatt Earp. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, 22.
Hey, I got my 6-shooters. Hell, I'm ready for the 1800s. I'll be good.
See, this is technology right here. The tactical beer bottle opener. High-tech stuff right here. I have to go open a beer for you guys in a minute.
Looks like a heavy-duty one.
It doubles as firewood and paracord. And 2 screws. Well, we went from technology to shit, I guess.
Nah. I'm just trying to keep up with the comments there a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do think technology, I think right now, technology is our friend as far as, well, we know it's our friend right now, but as far as manufacturing, I mean, you know, I work in manufacturing, so I keep going back to that. I think it makes us more competitive. And even though automation eliminates jobs, like I said, I'm saying the same thing again, I know, but I think it still creates more jobs because it makes us more competitive and more companies can compete. Because it still costs a lot of money to ship shit all the way across the ocean. So if you can cut into that, it may cost more to make it.
The bottom line for technology and manufacturing is to be able to manufacture the product as cheap as possible. That's the bottom line. Trust me, I know. So the ultimate goal, if you look at it in those terms, is to eliminate labor dollars. Replace them with technology and machines. So if you look at it in those terms, that's not a good future. Unless everybody gets to benefit from the machines working, which we all know that's probably not going to happen. And then when you get into the next level, which this hypothetical thing called the singularity, where machines actually take over, I don't know, is this whole leap of technology just getting us closer to the singularity, or is this just better? I mean, I don't know. There's a fine line there if you really think about it, you know? Is Red with us finally? For real? He keeps
I'm trying to get...
I'll give you an example of how American companies can compete with the Chinese. Damn, he done jumped out again. A plastic spoon. We can make this cheaper here in America than China can make it and ship it overseas to us. I know because we got this mold in our plant right now. We got a mold making plastic spoons, forks, and knives. What makes us able to do it cheaper here is the shipping cost. So if we use automation and eliminate maybe a worker or two, but somebody still has to push a button on the machine and make it go, you know, make it run. So there's still people involved, but we can still compete. It does take technology to compete with slave labor. I shouldn't say slave labor, but penny on a dollar labor, you know, overseas. So it can be done. And I think technology can help us. That's the only reason we're competing now. Right. Even though there's less manufacturing jobs in America now than there ever has been.
Let Red say something before he freaking disappears again.
Hey guys, hey, what's going on? I've been trying to do it, but I've been having some computer issues, and trying to get on the call as far as technology and stuff goes, but let me just jump in real quick. I think that it is our friend TR. I think technology for now is a benefit to us all. I think on the flip side, they were talking about Amazon having this store where they want to open up where folks can just go in, grab what they need, and as they walk out, it just pays for it. It recognizes some type of technology where it recognizes and debits the money from your card, but that also eliminates workers and I think ultimately affects everybody from going back to that store because you eliminate those jobs. There's no need for those people. So for the business, it's good for, you know, like you said, Pops, it's good for your business to cut the cost down if you have machinery. But then at what point, you know, does that impact you in the long run for customers, you know?
Yeah, without jobs, there's no paychecks to buy the goods, period. You know, and that's one of those steps that I don't know if you come back from that, you know. But the people at the top are usually fairly well protected. So I don't know.
And then the other thing I'll just say real quick is that I don't like to go get into personal stuff as far as what I do, but I kind of work in the government state type of field area. And as far as, you know, the government or the state, what they try to do is always mandate or regulate the businessmen like you, Pops, to say, okay, well, we're going to regulate what you can and can't do. So they find a way to get their hands in on the private sector to create those jobs within the government. You know what I'm saying? So there'll always be a demand for the people needing the state and the government to get the checks and balances to say, okay, well, if you want to be licensed, then, you know, you got to fill out the paperwork. And so the government gets their hands in on the business sector, which I think that there should be limits to that because government should stay out of business in the private sector. But they find a way to get their monies in there. Let's just say that.
Well, private businessmen find their way to regulate government. Let me just be perfectly clear here.
Exactly.
They give us the rules to the game, and we exploit the shit out of them. And they know that, which is why they are constantly moving, and we're constantly adapting. There's a way to play their game way better than them, and you have to, and that's a shame. It's just too bad that it comes to that, to where they couldn't give us a simple set of rules, and we can operate. Bigger businesses have a harder time, but smaller businesses are more like ninjas and judo instructors. We use their energy against them. You throw a punch at me, I'm going to send you that way 10 feet, and then I'm going to go do whatever the hell I want until you get your feet on the ground. But big business, they can't do that. They got to play by the government's rules, and that's really what they're after. Small businesses caught in the crossfire for a small amount of time, we adapt and overcome, and kind of laugh at them, to be totally honest with you. I'd rather pay my attorney and my CPA than I'd rather pay the government. I'll just leave it at that. And it's all legal, but play judo and chess, not freaking checkers.
And the other thing I want to say is I was trying to remember all the things I were talking about. Was I watched one of the Alaska shows, and one of the guys on there was just saying it's sad for the younger generation now because it's a lot harder for them to live that type of lifestyle, that outdoors men, because of the way society is set up. And I really see that for people that have skill and trade like TR and you and many others out there, it's becoming harder to get into that field of what you do. It's not impossible, but like for me, I mean, for what I do, for me to transition and jump into that arena, it's going to take a lot. It's going to take time and education, sort of say hands-on. So the way the world's changing, I think those labor guys are dwindling down. you're going to start seeing fewer and fewer of them because of technology, sort of say, and machinery.
Yeah, but I don't know. I've been typing and shit, half-ass listening. I'm sorry. But getting back to what I was saying, with the technology, I've seen technology take jobs away, but at the same time, and this is from my small world where I work at, even though that technology took jobs away, it actually ended up eventually creating jobs because it made us more competitive. And so we bought more machinery. So we might have eliminated a job or two a few years ago, but now we have more machinery. And even though the machines fairly run themselves, we had to hire more people to pack boxes, slap stickers on it, whatever it is, which I know all that could be eliminated too down the road. But, so for the short term, it costed jobs, and the long term, it created jobs.
Yeah, and what Red was saying about getting into the I think the easiest way to become free is to don't have a job.
Yeah.
The self-sufficient, self-sustaining lifestyle, that's the hardest damn job you'll ever have. And you only work for yourself, and you wake up unemployed every damn morning. But you're damn sure free. Let me tell you something. You're free. You're free to die on your own and live right up until then. But that's always intrigued the hell out of me, to be honest with you. It'd be kind of a bucket list thing, but I don't know if it'll ever happen. But yeah, that's the biggest double-edged sword ever created. Is true freedom. Period.
Sounds like a lot of extra work.
Well, it depends. It depends on where you are at that moment in time that you choose to be free.
Well, I know growing up, when I was a kid, my parents had a garden and cows and all that shit, and there was nothing free about it, man. It was
exactly
work, more work, and then when you got done working, you had to go to work. It was like
the idea of a job is so that you can focus on one thing, be efficient at it, and turn your labor into dollars, as many dollars as you could possibly get, and then take those dollars and trade them for something that you don't really feel like doing. Like growing food or milking a cow, or so.
But having
Hey, I just going to interject.
Being able,
all y'all fuckers except for Rosie, y'all are married, so don't even talk about being free.
Oh,
I don't want to hear.
Trust me, I'm not. I couldn't get her off the phone fast enough. I'm like,
I'm free.
You are free.
Just won't bring it up.
You're free to do any damn thing you want, TR.
I'm pretty free.
And some days I'm jealous, and other days I'm not. I had a conversation with my wife the other day. I'm like, I'm glad I'm going back to work, because on my days off, I should be shooting and shooting. She's like, how many times a day should you, or how many times a week should you be shooting? I'm like, well, there's 7 days in a week. She did not like that answer at all.
Happy wife, happy life, brothers. That's all I gotta say.
Happy wife. Well, when you're dropping trees on the house, that doesn't make for a good one.
I saw that video. That was pretty hilarious, and I think it was very awesome that TR went by to help you, because my wife would have been pissed.
It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work.
It's all about balance. It's all about balance. The yin, the yang, the balance in life. You have to, in order to understand how free you really are, you have to understand the benefits that come, and don't always look at the one side.
Well, that's the thing. If I could retire today, I don't think I'd want to retire because then I'd have to be at home every day. You know what I mean? So I'm like, not that I have a bad marriage or life or anything, but
I was going to say that is your six. You're definitely right because again, in the multiple jobs that I've done within state and government, one of them was retirement. And I used to deal with a lot of retired teachers and anyone in the school districts. And most of those people within a couple of months called and said, you know, can I go back to work? Or you know, I'm either they were bored or they didn't have enough money. But I really think that they wanted a purpose. And I told my wife, if I retire, I'm not going to really retire. I'm going to retire from this and then go do something else because I think just being at home, not having any purpose, will drive you.
I'm going to work till I die, but I'm going to do it the hell I want to do.
See, I'd like to
just for the record, I've met Rob's wife and Rick's wife, and they're very cool women, and I was just playing. So.
But it's like, yeah, you gotta have a reason to wake up every morning. Now, if you have the ability to wake up every morning and just make YouTube videos, okay, there's that. Or if you want to go work at a gun store, like I would like to retire and just go work at a gun store, you know, that has a shooting range. Shit, I mean, I would probably use all my money that I made and never really got paid, but I'd end up with some shit at the end of the week. but it would be fun. Like, you got to have a reason to go do something.
I agree.
And most people that retire from the fire department, they either go out and teach or they go do investigations for like State Farm or some type of insurance company or something. But I just want to screw off and have fun, hang out on Rob's zip line and shit.
Then just take people on excursions to go fuck off and screw off. And
that's the thing. I almost thought about building a company called Rick's Adventures and just basically use it as a write-off for buying shit. Like, I bought 2 new mountain bikes the other day because my kids grew out of the other ones, but have all this shit available so when my friends show up, whether it's kayaks and mountain bikes and new fly rods and reels and shit, and have all the new coolest shit, but be able to write it off.
All right, so you need a company called Rick's Outdoors and Adventures, and you need to be writing that shit off regardless.
I know. Remember we were talking about I need to do something to write this shit off because I'm buying it all anyways. So why not be able to write off?
Every gun I buy and every piece of ammo and every fucking holster and everything that I buy gun related gets written off.
I know, and I got to do that. I gotta do that.
And it's all legit because it's bought with the purpose of turning a profit. Now, you'll have to consult your own legal people to figure out how to do that, but don't ever buy something without taking the expense on the other side. Everything in life is an expense unless you turn it into a turd, and half of that is.
Well, see, that's the thing.
Without getting too deep, Pops, say an individual like myself who has a YouTube channel, do I have to actually create a company? I mean, some kind of, I think you said an LLC or something one time.
No, you don't have to do none of that. It's all in how you fill out the paperwork. I mean, for a guy like you who's single, who's wants to take some write-offs, you basically need a business with the intent of turning a profit. That's the government's way of knowing that you're legit. And whether you turn a profit or a loss in that year is up to whether you ran your business well or not. If TRprepper's YouTube channel has the intention of making money, which if you run ads on your channel, then you have every intention of turning a profit. So your expenses to do that could be everything from your computer that you make videos on to your cameras, to the 25% of your square foot of your home that you use to do these chats, to your internet service, to the guns and ammo you buy to make your videos, to your holsters, to your chickens that actually sound off during the videos that actually make people come back, the chicken feed. If you have dogs, they're guard dogs, and all your vet bills and your food to keep them housed and safe should be written off. The thing people don't understand about filling out a tax return and audits is they're actually living in fear that the government's going to come lock them up, and that's the furthest thing from the truth. What you normally do when you fill out a Schedule C and a Form SE if you're self-employed, or a Schedule K if you've turned into an LLC, is you're just filing paperwork. Let's say, for round numbers, let's say a guy who's making $100,000 a year, his tax liability to the federal government is, say, $20,000 at the end of the year. I don't know what it is, because my situation has been different for so long. I don't know what that number is for a normal $100,000 normal employee is. So forgive me if I'm way off. But let's just say you're running a side business like a YouTube channel, and you make $50 a month in AdSense money. You make $600 a year. Well, that's profit, and you're going to get a 1099 from Google saying you made that much money, and you have to show that profit on your tax return. Well, you've got a lot of expenses to run that YouTube channel. A lot of them, what I just said. The biggest thing you can do to help you out is to keep proper records, because I can show you how. I mean, I can take a now this is, I'm going to step out on a limb here, but I can
let me turn my recorder on. Okay, go ahead.
I can. It's all
I'll
legit,
get my reward.
you know?
Just talk slowly and just.
But I can make a couple $1,000s a year, and I can take $50,000 a year loss from my endeavor of Pop's Quest or Pop's Cabinet Shop or what have you, just by keeping good records and filing the right paperwork. And that loss that I have in the business, so your 1040s over here, your normal 1040 form that you'd file with government. Well, if you're showing, let's just say you made $100,000 a year here, and you showed a $50,000 loss here, well, that just basically, those losses offset your income. A 1040 and a SC or a Schedule K and all that, it's nothing but a funnel. Some people's funnel has 30 forms in it. Mortgage write-offs, paying a babysitter, child care, whatnot. You have to make sure that you fill out every piece of paperwork that's at the top of that funnel. And when they all funnel down, your ultimate goal is to pay, zero in taxes, which you're never going to pay zero. But so instead of paying, $20,000 or $30,000 a year in taxes, you take that loss of $50K a year, move it over. Mileage from driving to and from your site where you're doing things. You just look up a Schedule C and look at all the options you have to write things off. So you take that loss, offset your income, and that's what you truly pay taxes on. And it's just a matter of paperwork. It's literally putting in the numbers and paying less in taxes. And it's all. Now you can bullshit and lie on them if you want. And if you file 2 extensions and file on October 15th, there's a good chance you'll never be audited. But you didn't hear that from me. But if you file on April 15th on time, there's about a 90% chance you'll get audited sometime within 20 years. So it's how you file, what you file, and making sure you don't lie or bullshit the government. So I hope that was enough.
I got it all, Pops. Thank you.
Yeah, I need to look into that. I hadn't kept good enough receipts on all the ammo I bought, but I've definitely spent more than I've made on YouTube this year. So,
well, it's worth it because a buddy of mine asked me one time. He's like, "Well, this is a guy on YouTube. Everybody knows him, but I won't say his word." He's like, "Man, I'm starting to make a bunch of money on YouTube, and I'm starting to get, I'm starting to have to pay taxes on it." I'm like, well, yeah, of course you're paying taxes on it. Now, where are all your expenses? And he's like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "Really?" So you have to take those losses early in your YouTube career when the expenses are high and the profits are way low. Because what happens if you get 1 million subscribers overnight because you made a viral video of you flushing yourself down the toilet? I mean, you could actually make a lot of money, and then all of a sudden you're going to be like, well, I wish I'd have taken them losses over the last 5 years, because you can only go back 3 years. You can file a 1040X if you have receipts and go back 3 years and take those losses, but you can't.
Rob, shit, this whole time I thought the faster you can hide the receipt and throw it in the trash for your wife sees it was the best idea.
No, give it straight to your accountant.
What holster? That old holster?
No, the best place for your receipt is in your accountant's hand, and make sure he labels it correctly. So.
Hey, Rosie, I wanted to say hello. I didn't mean to be rude.
No,
I've never said live.
I've seen you on some chats before. I enjoy your point of view. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Likewise.
Yeah, so the Rick's Adventure thing was my plan on just having top-notch gear. You have real buddies come in. They just basically write you a check like they're your people coming in, and then you just write them a check right back out. So it looks like there's money being made per se, and then you write off all your bikes and your kayaks and any other bullshit you want to buy, fishing poles and reels.
Yeah, so I need to really start thinking about this, because every time I drive down to see Rob, I need to keep all my gas receipts.
Well, I do mileage, but when you do mileage, you can't take repairs or gas in your car, but you can take those gas receipts if they happen to be used to run a generator and write them off anyway as off-road, electricity and stuff like that. So there are ways to double dip on things. I'm not suggesting you do that, but there are ways to capture every little bit of expense that you do incur.
I just want to change the subject just for a quick second and tell Rob this. He might get a kick out of it. Because you talked about car repairs. It hit me. 2 or 3 days before Fall-Ageddon, the freaking serpentine belt on my truck just disintegrated while I was in town in TR in Travis Rest. So I was able to just drive across literally drove across the highway to the auto parts store and repair it. But it was 2 or 3 days before I was about to head down to your place. And it was like, oh my God, I'm so glad this damn thing broke right now.
Yeah. I know all about being broke down on the side of the road.
Yeah, well, on my way back from there, I had a flat tire, so on the camper. So I had my own little adventure. I got halfway home, and the back right tire blew out. It's blown out 3 or 4 times. And my buddy down the street from my shop runs a frame shop. He looked at the tire. He's like, we need to rebend that axle. Apparently the tire's running like this. And they actually have chains and hydraulics that actually bend the axle and straighten that tire back up. So.
So it's just right. It was riding on the edge of the tire, the outside.
Yeah. Yep. So.
That's all that ammo you got in the back of that thing is a problem. You got to spread it out along the whole trailer. You can't just go in the right corner.
Well, don't worry. That tire just became an expensive endeavor. Don't worry about that.
Because when he was hauling them damn 50 cows back and forth, what it was.
Get that 50 cal. Just the box alone's about 60 pounds. It's
Yeah,
a well-built box, but holy sweet baby Jesus, that thing's heavy.
Yeah, I custom made that, and I charged myself to build that. But
I gotta get rolling on that.
just you got to do it, and then as soon as you do it one year, you'll do it every year. And trust me, every year it gets a little bit better because your income. Let's say your income never changes. The only way you can change that tax equation is to get the expenses in there, is to capture those expenses, and legitimately, no bullshit. You're just letting those expenses go away every year. I mean, you're having fun on YouTube. I get that, but as far as the tax man goes, you're trying to turn a profit, and that's okay. And those losses can be epic if you capture them the correct way, which everyone should.
And we've talked about this in the past, and what I thought was really cool is you can sell your gun to your company. You know, like I can sell as Rick to Is Your Six Covered, you know, the pistol or the rifle.
Right, but you don't really have to do that if you're operating as a sole proprietor business. But I run everything as an LLC. So even my YouTube channels are as a LLC, but it's not at the point where it's a benefit to do that. It's just a habit for me. So even as a sole proprietorship business, because you're not making any money, you can't be double taxed. If you start making a lot of money, that self-employment tax really kills you. So you have to become an LLC so you can umbrella yourself out of that double taxation and just pay a corporate tax. And then you pay yourself on payroll like $10 a year, and you're good. So and Trump's gonna supposedly lower the corporate tax. I hope that would be great.
Yeah, I need to figure it out.
Go find an accountant that will work on a percentage. He will rake you over the coals to the good. Trust me.
Yeah, I don't think I deal with enough money to worry about an accountant. I'll lose money in the long run.
No, it's not as expensive as you think. You just anyway. We'll talk later. We don't need to go over all this right now, but I'll tell you. We'll go through it. Trust me, it's fine. You'll love it.
Oh, we need to talk to Tom. Maybe Tom will help us out.
He's a trust attorney.
We got a lawyer in our pocket now. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot. We got Tom.
We're getting all our bases covered. We got cops, we got lawyers, firemen, financial experts, Rosie. We got it all.
That's right. We're like
one-stop shop.
We're a
I'm just a redneck.
TR Mafia.
Yeah.
Hey, Rob, I wanted to say that, just hearing you talk, I mean, it's very interesting, but guys like Rick and myself, we're so caught up in the system as far as, trying to get to that retirement that our minds don't think like you, our minds don't think as far as like, how can I make this, work for me or profit, or can I get it off as a tax, right? So it's amazing to hear you talk the way you do. That right there's a businessman thinking.
Yeah.
Me and Rick are in the system, and we're just trying to do our
yeah, but you have to run everything in your life like a business, and you have to have that mindset, because really, even though you might be getting a W-2 form from your employer, from the government or whatnot, you're still running a small business. They have just told you how you're going to file, which to me is criminal, which is why I'm so aggressive when it comes to that shit. Because withholding taxes, to me, is illegal. So I step out of that box, and I tell them, what the hell they're going to get in so many ways, because you are turning your labor into money. You're running your own business. You might have a contract with your employer, but you're running your own business. You have Red October as a business. I go to work, I produce shit, I get paid. But some son of a bitch at some point in time has determined, I'm going to take your tax dollars from you before you even see it. And to me, that's criminal. And to me, that's the motivation to change the operation and to get on the offensive instead of the defensive. I hate hearing people say tax return. I got this much money back. Well, you only got it back because they fucking stole it from you in the beginning.
Yeah.
If you keep talking like you run everything like it's a damn business, next thing I know, you're going to be running for fucking president.
Nope.
It worked out pretty good for the last guy.
2020.
That game's already been played. Yeah, I'm good. I got too many skeletons in my closet.
Could you imagine you running and all of a sudden you see Farmageddon and Zipline Mafia and all of us on there like, holy shit. Do you know the president?
You want this guy running your country? He almost killed 20 people in one day.
Yeah, but if any of us did that, we would get 100% of the redneck vote.
Yeah. And here's a video on 16 pounds of tannerite. Woo-hoo!
Yeah, it would give a whole new meaning to the word the red vote or the red state or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I can't wait to shoot on that zip line.
I'm just worried we're going to shoot our feet off, but
I'll go first.
we'll get some steel-toed shoes or something.
Throw a vest on our legs. Have that.
No, we'll have to make sure we tuck our feet or something. I don't know.
I'm gonna definitely be careful.
Yeah, we will. Trust me.
Not that you can't get hurt with it, but we might want to stick with 22s when it comes to the zip line if we do that.
I was gonna. Well, never mind.
Hey, Pops, so the zip line, does it only carry, you can only do one person at a time, or can two people get on it at the same time?
Right now, it's just one harness, one trolley, done. Yeah. So
one bourbon.
Because I was going to say, you should get somebody to film from behind the first guy shooting. So you have two people going down the zip line.
Oh, you know what? No, I was going to get another trolley so that the girls wouldn't have to wait on someone to get undressed and stuff, but or unrigged or whatever you. So yeah, I think as long as we had both trolleys up there, you could both tie in, one person go and then the other person go behind them. So that's a great idea. I think we'll definitely employ that. But the other option is just to wear a GoPro on your chest and then one on your head and get two views. That'd probably work too.
We can make magic happen.
But you know, putting them cameras on, it takes like 30 freaking minutes to get all douched up with cameras and guns and harnesses and I mean, so you're out there to have fun. Next thing you know, 3 hours went by to get one freaking cool shot, and it's just I don't know if it's worth it.
Cameraman, you need at least one cameraman with you whenever you shoot.
Well, we need one drone guy so he could fly next to the shooter. That would be the cheapest way to get.
Don't put that drone near me. I'll shoot that shit out of the sky. It'll be instant.
Pops has already tried a cameraman. He sucked. So.
Hey, I got a better idea. As you're zip lining across, we set up the clay pigeon shooters so that they try to hit you, and you gotta like duck and shit and fucking shoot around or shoot at them.
I'm gonna be bringing my body armor, man.
That's gonna be bad.
Kevlar helmet.
I can't wait.
We already kind of worry about people getting shot enough as it is.
Pops, I was going to say you should throw that in the course of the zip line. Put that in the running gun course part. Like you go from shotgun to pistol to zip line. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Well, if we do it, we're going to have to zip line down to the golf cart, get off the golf cart, drive the golf cart at 20 miles an hour while you're shooting targets on the way back. And then when you get back to the shed, you'll have to do the 3-gun through the pistol course. We'll call that the ultimate zip line golf cart pistol course freaking shoot-a-thon.
Hey, I'm gonna bring one of those detached things where you pull the thing and you fall, or it goes up against your. So you get right to the golf cart.
Oh, we need a big airbag there. So you can
click
drop
that
arms.
thing, and then you grab your rifle and then tuk 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 as you're going across. Or you just hold on one-handed like on TV in the movies and shoot. No harness needed.
I can assure you none of this shit's actually going to ever happen. Sounds cool talking about it.
I figured we'd talk about it now.
Yeah. Ouch. I did just order a bunch of steel targets. I'm going to turn the whole pistol course into a steel target course. My buddy Gil Martin, y'all know him on as Hard Target. He used to be I Think You Really Suck on YouTube. He's making me some steel IDPA. He's a really good friend of mine, and he's hooking me up. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so now it'll be bing, 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 bing. There won't be no paper plates this time around, which is cool. So when Tactical Midget shows up and you don't hear no ding, 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 you'll know that he didn't hit a fucking thing.
All you hear is
Yeah.
Yeah, the steel targets is a good idea. That way, you know there's a hit. Yeah, that's a great idea.
And I'm going to mulch it all in. And I'm going to get a mulcher chipper and mulch the whole area in and blow the leaves off so you'll be able to pick up your brass real easy.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Professional grade, baby.
That's right. High speed, low drag.
Yep. Shoot him in the face.
Zipline trap shooting. There you go. That's the next adventure.
Yeah, if you can't buy him a drink, shoot him in the face. That's your 2 options.
That's right. Hey, just so if you haven't seen TR's latest video on his EDC carry, holy sweet baby Jesus, that thing's funny as shit. I'm like, what the fuck's he grabbing out of his ankle holsters?
I didn't realize he had 2 ankle holsters. That's crazy.
I'm like, holy shit. And then I'm all, oh, yeah. Yeah. That's a large size ankle holster.
You gotta have fun,
Nice buck knife or whatever that is.
I like how he rolls. That's for sure.
Yeah.
In fact, he left one of them things out of his ankle holster in my refrigerator out at Farmageddon. So
did he really?
Yeah, he left one of those. So
dang it.
It's a donation.
See, you could write that off, man. That's an expense.
Yeah. That's right.
Well, anyway, I guess we're kind of petering off here. We might want to wrap this up. We're just talking random bullshit now. Thanks, everybody, for coming by. And hang on, guys and gals, on the panel here. And we'll talk a minute after this is over with. But thanks, everybody, for coming by. And I'll let everybody do an outro. And since Red October is a new guest and hadn't been on here much, and hopefully he'll continue to be part of the panel, I'll let you go first, Red.
All right, thanks. I'm sorry I showed up late. I had computer issues, but yeah, I appreciate you giving me a chance to be on here, and when I can, I'll try to be on here as well. If you haven't checked out my channel, go check it out. I just talk about this and that, and occasionally I'll shoot some guns. But thanks for having me on, TR.
Oh, you're welcome, man. You've been a good YouTuber, new to the scene that some of us have discovered, and it's good to get to know you. Rosie, would you like to do an outro?
Sure. Thanks for having me on. It was a fascinating night tonight. I didn't really get to see David's channel or whatever. He didn't post anything on the side, but it was really good tonight, and I appreciate it. I'm off to Vegas for a couple days on Thursday through Sunday, so going to have some fun down there. And we'll be back to do it all again next Tuesday. Meanwhile, the bi-weekly eco investment update is on the Rosie Murphy channel. So thanks again for having me on, and great to see all you guys.
Well, thanks for being part of the panel, Rosie. I always appreciate it. And David's channel, just in case anybody wants to know, if they don't know, his YouTube channel is An American Morning. Let me get that right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you have a link for it.
An American Morning. Or A American Morning. Shit, I forget.
Let me see here.
Let me see if I can find it, and I'll put it on the.
No, it's An American Morning.
A American Morning.
In America. Or AN.
An American Morning.
Okay. I see it. It's all An American. It's all one pushed together. An American.
All one word.
Okay.
Yeah. He's a real intelligent guy. He's he's really dedicated into his cause, and he's an intense guy, but I know from y'all seeing him on here, he's a really good guy. You can talk to him. I mean, he's not condescending or elitist or whatever. I mean, he's a really smart guy. I enjoy talking to him and been on many chats with him, and he's a really cool guy. So anyway.
Yeah, well, we had our exchanges. It's all good.
Yeah. But he's a good guy. Rick,
for sure.
You got anything to say, buddy?
Yeah, if you get a chance, check out the channel. Got some tree falling down. TR helped me out, breaking the house, and wife getting upset, and all sorts of fun stuff. Got a lot of new stuff coming out to review. Finally, after the hurricanes and the fires, it'll probably be a snow fest. So somewhere in there, we're gonna get some more shooting done. Do a little bit of competition stuff. But other than that, I have fun on my channel. As always, you guys and gals, appreciate every one of you showing up in the side chat and on the panel. Appreciate it.
Thanks for being on, Rick. I appreciate it. Pops Quest, you got anything to say, man?
Yeah, it was the all R chat. It's like it was Rick, Red, Rosie, Roger, and Rob. Holy crap. That's like a friggin' anomaly right there. But I enjoyed all you guys.
A robot could have never picked that up.
Oh, the robot. Yeah, shit.
No, robot would have never detected this anomaly in the chat. You're a genius.
Anyway, Home of Farmageddon is how I kind of my claim to fame. But another bulletproof vest test tomorrow, releasing video at 4 o'clock. Stay tuned for that. Otherwise, appreciate it. Had fun.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for coming by. Thanks for everybody out there in the audience, in the comment sections. Y'all have been great. It was a smooth chat going on out there. There was only one little hiccup, and I was able to calm that down, and everybody was cool with it. So we're all cool. And we'll see you next week. I'll have another Tuesday night chat. And Rosie may be out of town, I think you were saying, Rosie. Anyway, I'll find out. But if not, I'll see you Sunday night or Friday night or some. You know me, I'm a chat slut, so I'll be on some damn channel. Anyway, we'll talk to y'all later. See ya.